Everyone, welcome to Spring Framework tutorial series. So in this video, we will be understanding about component annotations to create the bin, and we will be totally removing a bin tag from configurations file. Then I will introduce you ComponentScan annotations. Then later on, I will be introducing you configuration annotations, and I will totally delete this beans.xml configurations file, and we will do all type of configuration in our custom configurations file from that Java sites. And later on, we will be introducing you at AnnotationConfigApplicationContext instead of class path XML application context to create any kind of beans. So let's go ahead with the video. So it is suggested to watch the Spring Framework tutorial series where I have explained you about Spring IoC, dependency injection using setter method, using constructor method. I have introduced you qualifier annotations, Autowiring annotations, value annotations. So if you have knowledge of this terminology, that is very fine. And if you don't have, I suggested to watch this series. So let's get started. So and also I request you please subscribe to the channel to get more videos on the similar topic. So I will go to this Eclipse, or you can go to this IntelliJ. So I will create a new project called component annotations. Let me create that. So I have created this component underscore annotations project where it have one pom.xml file and empty resource folder, and the main function this is the printing something. So now to use Spring, we know that we need to add Spring core and Spring context dependency. So I will add that too, and also I will create a beans.xml file under the resource folder, or you can consider it as a config.xml file where all the beans definition and the beans configuration initially we will do. Later on when we will introduce other component annotations, then I will totally remove that files. And also I will create a simple what you can say simple class called employee, and it is printing some message or method. So let me create those steps and I will show you, don't worry. So let me show you what I have done. As I said, I have added the dependency called Spring Core and the Spring context to use Spring, or you can also add a jar file. As I am using the Maven project, so adding the dependency will work fine. And I have added a one employee class, and I am printing a simple method called employee info, and I am employee. And as I mentioned, there will be a beans.xml file, and I am creating the beans for this employee. So employee object, and to create beans, we already know that package name. What is the package name? Component annotation dot employee. That is class name. We're doing this. This is the way to create beans using the XML. Then now I will remove this. Before that, I will go to this main class, and we are loading using the class path XML application context from using that XML file. We are creating the container, and we are fetching the beans using the get beans method, and we are printing the details. So by doing this, we know that it will will be creating the beans. But this video is all about the component annotation to create the beans. So to do that, what I will do, I will initially just comment this. So doing this, there will be no beans created, right? So I will go to this employee class, and here I introduce one tag called component. So during this tag, a beans will be created. Okay. So let me run the application and show you that what are the issue. So I will go to this main.xml file, and I will just run this project. So if you see that the bin file is loaded like config. Okay, I have just, don't worry, I just written is bin.xml file. You can write it config.xml file. So bin file is loaded, and we see that giving errors, no bin name emp bin available. So we are passing that emp beans, but where that emp beans is created, so we need to mention in the emp class that component and here we need to mention the name of the beans, right? So previously we did in the config.html file emp object, we named it as emp object. Here we are using emp bean as a name, so I will copy that and I will provide a name that as emp bean. So by default it will be checking for employee as a bean name, employee in small cat. So if I rerun the application, let me run the application and show you. There's one more error is coming. No such beans definition exception. Get beans definition. So it is saying that there is no beans related to that was created. So if we clearly observe in that config.xml, previously what we did id. So id we have passed, that is the no issue. We have id we have passed. And if we see there is a one class we have mentioned. We have mentioned the like XML file. So to check for which employee class or the which packages the beans should be created. But in this here we have nowhere mentioned that things. So to mention like a Spring to look for which package having @ component annotation, then they will create the bin. So it is on the deep developer component annotation package. There is a function called, class called employee. You need to create a beans for that. So what I do, I will use one annotation called ComponentScan. And base package, what is the base package? I will copy that. This is the package name. So within this package, whichever the class having @component annotation, the Spring will create beans for that. And in the later on, I will remove that part also. Like we will not, as I said, I will not be using XML config.xml file. There will be no XML file. So I will remove that. So first run this application and let's check whether now the Spring is able to create the beans or not. So let me rerun the application. So now we see that XML file is loaded and employee object bean is created. Object bean is created and it is able to call the employee.info method. I am an employee. So now it is clear that in the XML file we have passing that base package name. Now as I promised, I will totally delete this config.html file. So let's delete it first. So I will go to delete. So I have deleted it. And now as I mentioned, so instead of like previously what we did component scan in the XML file. Now I will introduce the component scan in this Java side. So for that there should be a one configuration file. So why we are creating that configuration file? So let me create that, then I will explain you. I will mention it as my configuration. And I will annotate with configuration. Okay. And in this configuration, I have mentioned this as a configuration file because we are now not using XML file. So Spring will look for any type of configuration file that we have created with @configuration tag. And also it will, as I said, it will scan the packages to create the beans having @component tag. So with this it will create the beans, but in the configuration I need to mention the component scan annotations so that it will look for the packages. What packages? These packages, and it will create the bean. So it will create the beans on this packages. So what there's a one configuration you need to do. Now there is no configuration config.xml file. So we cannot use config.xml file. And previously we used that class path application context na. So now there is no XML path for that configuration file. Now we are using which type of configuration? Annotation config application context. So we are using that type of configuration, right? We are using @annotation, and here we need to pass the configuration file name. So what is that configuration file name or the configuration object? My configuration dot class. And so that is the same, and here we are not using beans or config.xml file. We are using like Java side configuration, Java side config, Java side config loaded. So let's rerun the application and I'll show you. So did you observe that now it is from the Java side using this my configuration? It is creating beans, from where the beans will be created from this base package. From this base package, it will go within this base package, whichever the class having component annotation. So it will create the beans, and after creating the beans, what we are doing, we are getting the information using the .emp file .emp info method. So that's all with the video. Check out my next video on how to use or the create beans using beans annotation, and there will be I will be using a lot of concept, and I have, as I have totally removed that XML file, so there I will be using a lot of Java side configuration and to make a real life like Spring Boot or the Spring application. Later on, I will be come up with Spring Boot type of application. So please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching the video.